What's going on, guys? Welcome back. In the previous video, we talked about expressions. And all throughout that video, we talked about what an expression was and how we simplified them through many examples. Today, we'll be talking about equations, which is the meat of algebra. We'll be doing this through a simple introduction today, not really solving equations. But this is a very important topic, so let's get right into it. Before we could actually get into talking about what an equation was, let's recap what an expression was. And we said that it was a mathematical statement, something like the number 3, x plus 2, 3x plus 1, something that shows quantity. When I ask you guys, when you guys hear the word equation, what comes to mind? Feel free to pause the video and write down a couple words. I'm going to assume you guys did that already. The 3 common responses I get is something you solve. The second response I normally get is solution. Third is something being the same as another. Let's talk about the mathematical definition of an equation. So in mathematics, we take two or more statements actually, whether they be numbers or variables, and we create a new statement through equality. We do that with the equal sign. We take, for example, 3 and x plus 2, and we'll say, okay, well, 3 is equal to x plus 2. So we say, okay, well, so what this says is this, so a number plus 2 has to add up to 3. And we get more sophisticated with them. Some of them that you see is like y is equal to mx plus b. Let's relate this to the real world. Where we have the equal sign in mathematics that says things are the same, quantities are the same, I should say. We say that things are equal, but we actually mean things are the same. So think about this. When we were children, our teachers and our parents always told us that no matter what, we're all humans, so we're all the same. You could say, well, 2 marbles are identical in size and shape. Really bad drawing here. Sorry, guys. Really bad drawing. Sorry. But we could say through marbles that they are of equal size, or not equal size, but identical size, shape, color, and even patterns on these marbles. They're equal. Through this, hopefully you guys get a sense of an equation. And so instead of thinking of it as something we're trying to find an answer to, we're just trying to say something is equal to another. So there's plenty of equations that we talk about in algebra, but there's 2 big branches that we talk about when it comes to algebra. And we start off with a single variable equation. This would be like 3x plus 2 is equal to minus 1. There's a single variable and just a bunch of numbers that we deal with. And there's equations of 2 variables, which is the second big branch of equations that we study in algebra are equations of 2 variables. And these mean 2 different things. Oops. Y is equal to mx plus b is an equation of 2 variables. We have y, which is 1 variable, and we have x, which is another. And we'll say b is another number to deal with. This is a very powerful equation, which we'll actually talk about later. Subclassifications of equations that we'll talk about, whether they're one variable or 2 variables, that we'll talk about in mathematics, all throughout mathematics actually. are what we call transcendental functions. Not necessarily functions, but and just some of the equations that we'll see later on in mathematics, not just through algebra, whether they're one variable, two variables, and this will go everywhere, is one, polynomials. This is a really simple equation that we deal with. It's the easiest one we deal with. And in the sense of Algebra 1, our playlist here, we just talk about linear equations, and at the end, we talk about quadratics. We have rational functions, not functions, but so for the second one, we have rational equations. These are a little bit harder, and these are polynomials, but with division. This is an Algebra 2 topic. We have exponential. This is the third hardest in my opinion. This is because we deal with numbers with a variable exponent and what happens with that, which is another topic that we cover in Algebra 2 as well. 4 is logarithmic. This is another Algebra 2 concept, a big concept that we talk about, and we just say, okay, what happens? Oh, it's a new operator, and we try to work backwards, the exponential. And lastly, we have trigonomic. Trigonomic equations. This is combining the trigonometry that we learned in either geometry, pre-calculus, or geometry, if that's the case, depending where you live, if you're in the U.S. or depending where you're in the world, you would have learned it in trigonometry, pre-calculus, or heck, even Algebra 2. And we learned how to solve these equations. This is a Algebra 2 / pre-calculus idea. And this is where we also develop trigonomic identities. That's all the time I have for you guys. I'll see you guys next video.